Hello everyone and welcome back to the Man's Kitchen. Today we've got another exciting pasta video. And just a note for you, I'm shooting this solo, camera wife Heather's at work. So this should be fun. It should take me twice as long to shoot as normal because I have to move the camera on myself and everything, but it's my problem, not yours. So I'll get back to you right after this. Alright, now that we're back, if you like my channel, please hit the subscribe button and ding the bell icon so you get notifications. If you also feel so inclined, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I post pictures and update stuff, and you might get something out of it. So now that that's out of the way, what are we doing today? Today we are making spaghetti and meatballs, as you guessed by the title of the video. And I'm going to show you our ingredient list next, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the ingredients too. Okay, I have a plethora of stuff laid out in front of me. Now, spaghetti and meatballs starts with spaghetti. Meatballs. We got some ground beef, some Parmesan cheese, some breadcrumbs, some onions, okay? Tomato sauce. We got some San Marzano tomatoes, which are cool tomatoes. The original seeds were given to the Kingdom of Naples by the Vice Royalty of Peru in the 1700s. In case you were wondering, although tomatoes are synonymous with Italian cooking, they are not native to Italy. Tomatoes come from South America. So, in a sense, they were doing fusion cooking hundreds of years ago before it was even popular. And the seed from this is one of the 3 seeds that are hybrided together to make American Roma tomatoes. We got some onions for the sauce. I got a little bit of chicken soup base for the sauce too. I didn't have time to make any stock this week, so I just grabbed a little bit of base. And for anybody that's actually read Anthony Bourdain's book, Kitchen Confidentials, he mentions how when he was in college, he always, at the Culinary Institute of America, he always kept Knorr bouillon cubes up his sleeves and would drop them into his pots when no one was looking. I got some tomato paste, crushed tomatoes, garlic, salt, pepper, oregano. And I will put the weighted measurements for everything down in the description below. Okay? Now let's move on to the actual cooking of today's video. Okay, we're in front of the pot now. I have a pre-warmed pot. It's a stainless steel pot with a copper bottom. The reason that I elected to use a stainless steel pot over a non-stick pot is because the acidity of the tomatoes over time can eat away at the non-stick coating. So a stainless steel pot really is the better pot for this. Now, I know I've always said sesame seed oil is my oil of choice, but since we are cooking Italian today, we're using olive oil. There goes a little bit of olive oil into the pot. Put the oil away. And we will add 320 grams of onions. And basically, don't get caught up too much on the weight. It's 2 small onions. You can use 1 small onion if you want, or 1 medium onion. Really, the reason I put 2 in is because I like onions. I'm going to turn that heat down to a simmer. We're going to add in our 10 grams of garlic. And the reason that it's 10 grams of garlic is that was roughly 2 cloves. And that was all the garlic I had left in the house. So that is 10 grams of garlic. If it's not garlicky enough at the end, I have some garlic powder in the cupboard. We can bulk it up a bit. But for now, we'll just go with this 10 grams. See how it turns out. So we're going to sweat this off which basically means that you're cooking it without caramelizing it. When you caramelize, you're going to do it on a higher heat, and you're going to brown everything. When you sweat it, you're going for that translucent color. So we're going to put that on, we have it on a low simmer. And if you want to see what a low simmer looks like on my stove, you can't, I don't even know if you can see it, but the fire is just coming from this part here. When I turn it up to low, you get more heat. Medium, it engages low around the outer ring. And then as you go up to high, the outer ring, and then on power boil, you're basically pushing, that's the full gas that it'll push out. This burner has 3 gas jets on it. The other burners only have 1 gas jet. So I have my dial in between low and simmer right now. And we're going to sweat this off. It'll take about 2 to 3 minutes. And when we're done sweating this off, we're going to add our crushed tomatoes and our tomato paste. And I'll get to the San Marzano tomatoes coming up right next. Okay, so I've opened my can, and what I did was I took roughly half of the tomatoes out. And what I'm going to do is, after I put the crushed tomato and tomato paste in the pot, I'm going to add these tomatoes the way they are with the juice from in here, and I'm going to blitz it with the immersion blender to get everything all incorporated and cut up nice. Basically going to make these disappear. Why I saved half of them is I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to coarsely chop them all, and I'm going to add them in after the immersion blending. So that way I'm going to get some of this flavor in here from these nice tomatoes is going to get pureed throughout the entire sauce. And then I also like a little chunk and texture to my sauce, so that's where the other half of them come into play. I'm going to add them after the food process, or after the immersion blending. So I chose this cutting board because it has a drip edge, and that's going to stop me from making a mess on the counter. And it's a small cutting board, it's a small job, so I'm using a small knife. I worked at a restaurant once where we would get 100-ounce cans of tomatoes like this, and we'd have to quarter them, and we'd go through maybe 3 or 4 cans in a week. So what we would do is we would save the lids from the ice cream, and we would use those as drip edge style cutting boards. Because in the restaurant there we had the big commercial line fridges that have the integrated cutting boards, and there's really no way to control your mess on those. So basically it's almost like cutting right on the counter, and then you keep a spray bottle of bleach with you, and every time you change tasks you just re-bleach the area. And then at the end of the night they got a good scrub down with soap and water and bleach again at the end of every night. Okay, so this drip edge is not quite big enough because I just went over the side here. It's not filling up all the way on one side, and it's overflowing on another. So now I've got a little cut on these. This is going to add the texture that I want in my sauce. And if I turn around, yeah, my onions are just about sweated. So we'll get right back to that pot next. Okay, but now that we're back at the stove here, we're going to add our crushed tomatoes. The whole can. And what we're going to do, we're going to put a little water in here. We're going to rinse out the can. We're going to give ourselves about a half a can. We're going to add the the tomatoes. We're going to put a little water in this can. Not quite as much. We're going to pass them between each other. Kind of wash them all out, make a little tomato juice. Okay, get your can nice and clean. Now we're going to pour that in. Stir this up. Add our tomato paste. So give this a little rinse. Okay. We're going to bring this to a medium heat now. Now, if you were using chicken stock, I would have rinsed the cans with the chicken stock. But I've got the chicken soup base. So we're going to grab probably 1 tablespoon of soup base per 20-ounce can of stuff. So we got two of those in there. And since we're using a stainless steel lined pot, we can use a whisk. We don't have to use a wooden spoon now. Give that a good mix. Okay, we'll add some salt. We'll add some pepper. And we'll add a little oregano into the mix. Stir it up. And after it, I'm going to let it get a little heat on it before I immersion blend it. So I'll get back to you then. Okay, while we're waiting for the tomato sauce to come up to temp, I almost forgot an important part. We need to sweat off our onions for our meatballs. Now I have roughly half the amount of onions that I had for the tomato sauce, so I have about 150 grams of onions. Okay. You can caramelize these if you choose to, or you can just sweat them off. It's up to you really what flavor you want to go for. So I'm going to put these on a low heat. And there's no rhyme or reason for the frying pan that I selected. This is more of a rondeau because it's got this straight side here. The reason I chose this one is because it's clean and the other ones are in the dishwasher. So while that sweats off, I am going to go do some things and I will get back to you in a minute. Alright, so the onions have sweated off and I've moved them into a bowl. I had to take a little break from this to get lunch ready for the little kid. So now we're back here. This is simmering. I have it actually right on medium. I'm gonna put my immersion blender in. Okay, this one's pretty strong. It's keeps wanting to suck down to the bottom of the pot. It's not really letting me hold it up near the top. There we go. You want to be careful anytime you're doing hot liquids that you don't bring it up too high because then you can splatter on yourself. Okay, should have. There, I don't really see much of the onions left. I know the tomatoes are all gone. Use a spatula here to clean this off. I don't want to waste any of this. Okay. Put that in our can for right now. We're gonna add. This is just the diced up tomatoes. I just moved them into this bowl here so I can clean up my counter. Turn this down to low. Whisk all of those little chunks around I just added. Okay. We'll check it for seasoning now, but Remember, it's going to sit here for a while and develop some flavor. So if the seasoning doesn't taste perfect right away, don't really worry about it too much. I'm only going to adjust it if it's really off. It's pretty tasty. So I have this spoon was in the product. This spoon was in my mouth. This way I can keep tasting over and over again without actually spitting in it, basically. All right, now let's move on back to the kitchen island, and we're gonna make up our meatballs. Okay, I've got my onions in this bowl. This bowl, if you can see, it is not dirty, it is just really stained. And I don't know what's easier to do, learning how to Photoshop all these stains out, or just scrubbing it really, really hard again and again until it comes clean. I don't know. It's been through the dishwasher many times, and it's seen a steel wool many times. It just won't come clean. Anyways, I have my onion in here. We're going to add our 1 pound of lean ground beef. We're going to add some salt, some pepper. There's one ingredient that I forgot to mention in the ingredient list earlier. And that, of course, was the incredible edible egg. Boom. We're also going to take maybe 3 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese and that won't come undone. Oh, there's a bag in a bag here too. We'll take about 3 tablespoons of breadcrumbs. And the reason I'm putting everything in the bowl first is honestly pure laziness. This way, I won't have to wash my hands again after I touch the meat. And we'll even dump a little oregano in here. We'll get our frying pan on. Then when we caramelize the onions in, we'll just pre-warm it. Bring it back up to temp on number 4. Grab a knife. When I use the tubes, I like to split them long ways. Okay. Always make sure, if you're going to cut the ends off, that you can account for the metal rings here that keep it sealed. I'm going to go throw this into the trash. And we're going to mix this up. Get everything incorporated. Now here's the big question. How many meatballs do you want to make? Like, you could make one giant meatball and put that on your plate. Eat like a Viking. I don't think that's what we're going to do today, though. Okay. I think originally I was going to aim for 4-ounce meatballs. I'm not going to weigh these up, so that would give me 4 off the meat. But then I probably put another 4 ounces worth of stuff in here. So if I get 5, that's kind of an uneven number, though. So we're going to go for about 6 meatballs, give or take. Okay, so I'm going to rip the ball open, make sure you got stuff in the middle there. Good, you repack it now. So this, and you can make them smaller if you want. I'm just trying to make this as maybe a dinner for 2 by making them big, but I definitely think you could feed 4 people out of this easily, especially with all the sauce in that pan. So like I said, we're going to try and aim for 6. So we're going to roll them out about that big. I'd say golf ball and a half. And just roll these up. And if you're making your own mix, you're not sure what you want to put in here, you put in what you want, and then make yourself take a little bit like this, fry it up as a tester, eat it. And if you don't like it, fix it. And if you like it, then that's what you're going to make. Okay. So this one's a little too big, so we'll pull some off of it. And I think I can split that between these two. There, so I'll just pack it on there, give it a little roll, pack it on here, give it a little roll. Okay, so now I have my 6 meatballs. I'm gonna go wash my hands, and I'll get back to you in a minute. Okay guys, I'm back at my pan here. It's got some smoke coming, so my heat's probably just a little too high. And I'm going to put my meatballs in here. Now you can pick them up with your hands. I just washed my hands so I could get the oil and stuff. So I'm going to use a spoon so I don't have to go wash myself again. Okay, we'll just roll these off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a crust on these meatballs. I might even switch to a pair. You know, I should have grabbed tongs instead of a spoon. Spoon was silly, but the spoon was out. So we're going to use the tongs to flip them around. And when they have a crust on them, I'm not going to bake them in the oven to finish them. I'm going to drop them right in the sauce. Okay, and the reason for that is that I want the sauce to develop a nice, meaty, and rich flavor. Okay? If you wanted to take this to the next level, what I could have done is I could have went to the store and got myself a ham hock or some pig's feet or a beef bone. And I could have dropped that in there and then just taken the bone out when I serve. Okay, if you're going to get pig's feet, make sure you don't get the pickled ones. Basically just want a nice, nice meaty part there, because that pork flavor would taste amazing in this. But I left that out just because I wanted to keep this a little bit on the simple side. Okay. Just adjusting my heat a bit. You'll kind of know by the sound that the oil is making if your heat's too high or too low. Okay, just keep turning them around so you can brown them on all the sides. I would guesstimate these would probably take about ½ hour in the oven to finish off. And I'm going to let them simmer in the sauce actually for, I don't know, about an hour and a half. And that way it's really going to get the opportunity to develop some rich flavor. Okay, if you're using metal utensils in a non-stick, just be careful to minimize contact with the non-stick as much as possible. If you're going to touch it, just be gentle. Try not to do any scraping or gouging motions. Okay. If you wanted, I guess you could put these raw in the oven for a few minutes just to get the initial sear on them if you don't want to do it in the pan, and then put them in your sauce, or cook them all the way in the oven. But I'm going to put them in the sauce. Yeah, so they're going to take a couple turns just because they're round, well, roundish, and they might start to flatten out a little bit in some spots. I have a feeling that one of them might break apart on me. That one in the center is looking really good. Okay, these 4 are almost ready. These 2 just need a little bit on here. Those top sides, you can see a little bit of uncrusted raw meat. Okay, I'll just turn the heat off now, and basically I'll give it a 10 count, and then I'm going to put them into my sauce. It's always so tempting to just keep playing with stuff when it's in the pan, but you really shouldn't. You should let it do its job. There, and you can see I have a nice crust, nice light crust developed. So we're going to put all of these into our sauce. So like I said, I'm going to let these go for about an hour and a half, and I'm going to find a lid for that pot. The nice thing is that both my pot sets are KitchenAid, so the lids are the same size. This is one of the rubber handled lids that goes for the non-stick set. Also, it's just right on the stainless set, so I can grab this without needing a towel later. Alright, I'm going to get back to you in about an hour and a half. In the meantime, the only thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it off camera, is I'm going to get my pot of water boiling, and then I'm going to put my spaghetti in. And then we'll come back to put it all together in about 90 minutes. Alright, so as you can see, my pot of water is boiling. And I'm going to cook up some spaghetti. And I'm going to cook up about a third, quarter to a third of this package. Just going to let the spaghetti start to soften. I don't have any clean spoons per se. I got my tomato spoon from earlier, so we'll just give that a good stir, and we'll keep stirring it up, and we'll cook it for 6 to 8 minutes. We'll see how al dente it gets then. Okay guys, I've got my spaghetti and meatballs here. I just put some spaghetti on the plate, poured some sauce, grabbed some meatballs. This is actually take 2 because I already did all this without the mic on. So without camera wife Heather here to make sure I was doing stuff the way I should, I recorded this whole segment once without audio. So I'm going to reiterate how awesome these are. These meatballs right inside are the perfect color for doneness. And if you're not sure, of course, you take an instant read thermometer and you can take an internal temperature. But I know at their size, simmering in 100-degree tomato sauce for 90 minutes, there's no way they wouldn't be cooked. And because that's how I chose to cook them, they have a little bit of a crust on the outside and the inside is very tender. The seasoning is spot on. I didn't really know how much salt and pepper I put in. It's just kind of something you get used to knowing how much you need. The noodles have just the right amount of sauce on them. So the sauce is that right consistency to properly coat the noodles. And it's got a little bit of a sweetness to it from the San Marzano tomatoes. And it's got a depth of flavor added from the tomato paste. So all in all, an excellent dish. Optional if you wanted to put a ham hock in the tomato sauce while you simmered it. That would add some extra depth of flavor. I'm going to enjoy my lunch now, and I want you to hit the like button for this video, hit the subscribe button for this channel if you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thanks, and have yourself a great week.